Welcome back to the Nikki Clarke Show. The show is about transforming lives, one story at a time, and we invite people from all walks of life to come and share their heart stories. Their stories of upliftment and their stories of transformation. So I have a wonderful individual on the line. She's a mover and shaker in her own right in the community. And I'd love to introduce to you Linda Boy. She is the Executive Director and co-founder of the Girls Empowerment Movement, a youth-led organization cultivating opportunities for youth in the Peel region since 2013. And she's also currently the Government Relations Specialist at the Council of Ontario Universities, a forum for Ontario's universities to collaborate and advocate in support of their shared mission to benefit students, communities, and the province. Linda, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Nikki, for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. So let's get to it. Let's find out a little bit about your background leading up to what you're doing today.
Absolutely. So whenever I'm asked about my background, I always feel like I have to go back even further to kind of talk about my family. Like many in Canada, I'm a first-generation Vietnamese Canadian. So my parents immigrated to Canada in the 90s, and then, they decided to settle in Toronto and then the suburbs of Brampton. So I feel like a lot of my upbringing has inspired me to do some of the things that I do today. Growing up, my parents didn't, because they were focused on, just surviving and adapting to a new culture, a new place, that they weren't aware of because of the barriers and challenges they face with the many opportunities that were kind of available to them, and especially for their kids. So for me, that was kind of through school that I was able to learn about, different, whether it was like volunteering clubs or school sports or things like that without cost. Volunteering and kind of being a part of school clubs wasn't didn't cost them anything for me to get involved in, and that kind of allowed me to learn about different issues, about different things going on in my community, beyond just like my family and my immediate things that I had first learned about. That kind of led to me asking more questions about why did things work the way they do. For instance, like, why does our healthcare work the way it does, or why is our education system the way it's organized? So because my family didn't necessarily have all of those answers, I kind of found ways to learn about that. So in a way, I can put a word to it now, but growing up I didn't know that. I was interested in navigating policy areas and systems, which is what I do now, but that initial volunteering led to then working in more policy spaces and doing advocacy work. So my day job working with the Council of Ontario Universities is advocacy for higher education, but I also believe passionately about more grassroots efforts. So the Girls Empowerment Movement is more of that work. So that's just a snapshot of how, I guess, my upbringing really inspired me to get involved in the work that I'm doing today.
Excellent. And your advocacy work and the promotion of what you're doing for empowering young women, who is involved in it? I know you've been doing it for a number of years, but who's involved, who gravitates to this kind of frontline work, and what type of services do you offer?
That's a great question. So GEMS has always been entirely youth-led and youth-driven because I had started it when I was just finishing up high school. And so we're geared towards mostly high school age young women. But over the years, our team has kind of expanded to include, because the team and organization has grown up with us who've been involved since the start, to include post-secondary and now young professionals. And, the goal is to really provide a safe space for young women to come around to talk about issues that might not get covered at school, and to really provide leadership opportunities. So, every year, if there's a particular project or issue area that the group wants to focus on, we always find funding and resources to make it happen. So we've had a range of types of events, conferences, to workshops, to trainings, in really any area, and really we focus peer-to-peer. So that I think the learning is meaningful, and we're not only learning and building leadership skills, but the relationship piece that, we can be connected to each other, even if we're going to different schools or in different parts of the Peel community.
Excellent. And can you name some specific programming that you've offered for the young women? I know that we connected just recently at a Women's Day event in Brampton, which was phenomenal. Do you have other such events that you include the young women in or to participate in?
Yeah, one that we've been really lucky to kind of repeat over the years has been on career development and career exploration, professional development types of days. So I think that kind of signals like the types of funding that's available to these types of grassroots program kind of shows the importance of providing spaces and opportunities for young women to learn about, fields and industries that have been historically more male-dominated in the STEM fields, for instance. So a lot of our recent events have been focused around, we just hosted, for instance, a Careers Day focus on the environmental sector a little bit more. So we had at that event panelists, professional women working in different areas in the environmental field kind of come in, sharing kind of a roundtable format, and we had a pretty good showing of young women, ranging from high school. Some were even a bit younger than that were keen to join, and we welcomed that, to post-secondary students who are now kind of looking for their next steps coming out of university or college. So I think that's been one that we've been able to host a number of times with different themes. So I think, to give you a more specific example, that would be one that kind of peeks out.
Okay, perfect. And can you tell us how has this pursuit of this passion project, how has that transformed your life?
Ooh, that's a big question. I feel like it's been life-changing, really, to be honest. Before GEMS, I definitely was very engaged and a part of my community. But I think starting GEMS and seeing it through all these years has really built confidence in myself that really, when I first started this, I didn't know what I was doing. GEMS was, I was supposed to be, we received a micro grant, a one-time, funding to try out workshops that my friend and I had brainstormed and wanted to see in the community. And, it's kind of a snowball effect. We started with the one and kind of continued on and built from learning how to build something from scratch, really. And so the skill sets that I've learned through this process of learning how to write a grant application to public speaking. I grew, when I was growing up, I was really shy, and I didn't imagine myself ever to be comfortable with public speaking, and it's still something that I have to overcome sometimes. But I definitely remind myself of how far I've come through GEMS and other things that has allowed me to do that, and it more than that, more than the personal growth and development, the community that I've been able to share this with, the young women that I get to work with, on a monthly basis, at our meetings, to the bigger events, to just even in a socializing kind of manner. It's been wonderful. This was like an unintended piece as well. We have alumni now, part of GEMS, that whenever they're back in town because they've gone off to post-secondary. It's kind of like a mini reunion, and I really appreciate their kind of positive feedback that for them too being a part of a supportive, empowering space has, they've taken that with them, and now some of them are, in med school or in law school, and that's so great to see. And we're hoping moving forward to kind of create even an advisory board or an advisory mentorship component where we've met incredible women along the way that have always offered to support us in different ways. So that's something we're looking towards, that maybe we can go beyond our current events and the current team, so that kind of the community can grow even further. So I think it's to kind of sum up, it's definitely been life changing, the opportunities that have come our way through GEMS, and the learnings, and the people, and meeting people like yourself too. So I think I can't stop with like how much it's like impacted me in my life.
Awesome. That is wonderful. And I just wanted to ask you, Linda, we're all going through this global experience right now, trying to adjust our lives because of COVID-19. What message can you offer us of hope as we are all dealing with, many different emotions? I know things are kind of slowly opening up now, but still we have to adjust to a new normal. What message of hope could you offer?
Yeah, I think it's like for all of us, and it's okay that we're not feeling like ourselves and okay during this time, because it's not a normal time. And actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day called, I think, the Happiness Project or something like that. And on this podcast, one of the researchers had kind of shared that although it feels like a strange time right now, not being able to physically connect with people, what we can kind of take away is that, like the whole world is going through the same thing in different ways, but we can empathize with each other through that even us having to physically distance ourselves, that's kind of an act of love in a way, because we're trying to ensure that our healthcare system doesn't get overwhelmed, and that especially for vulnerable folks and communities, that we reduce the risk of transmission and all of that. So I found that message to be really great in that moment, that I kind of needed that reminder, as I have been on my own since the start of this, working from home and whatnot. So I remind myself of that we're all doing this together. We can all reach out to one another, and this will pass. It will surely pass. We don't have the date yet. We wish we did, but it will pass. And I think that's my message of hope that I could share.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for that. Linda, how can people reach you on social media?
Yes, social media, people can find me at Linda, and then it's HUYENBUI. So it's at Linda Huyen Bui on Twitter, social media.
Okay, fantastic. Linda, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing a little bit about what you do. And I wish you all the best, and hopefully we will connect again soon once we're able to do so. But stay strong, stay safe, and bye for now.
Thank you. You too, Nikki.